Hi everyone, and welcome to the Sagittarius January 2022 Self-Illumination Reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot and Meaning-Based Spiritual Coaching Services. I am Lauren. Hi and welcome and Happy New Year. So this reading is meant to help you find the meaning in the challenges you are currently experiencing so that Spirit can better help show you and make you aware of your, I like to say, singular, important spiritual path and purpose. And this is also that you have a better idea and awareness of how to connect the uniqueness that's within you with the greater collective experience so that you can not only feel emotional fulfillment from that and feeling in flow, but also so that you can be of service to the greater collective experience, because we each have a spot to fill, and that is our highest potential when we can actually fill it. All right, so Scorpio, Sagittarius, sorry, I don't know why I said Scorpio. That's interesting. Maybe perhaps you guys are dealing with Scorpios. So as I was sitting with your energy, the color red kind of mixed with the color, like lightning to the color pink, came to mind. I don't always get kind of an image or something as I'm sitting with the energy at the sign that I'm about to do the reading, but with you guys, I saw that very clearly. So there's a feeling here of kind of moving from the root chakra and kind of mixing that with the pink of the heart chakra, that there's this quality of moving, I feel like, a little bit out of fear and into the feeling of love. So what I'm going to do now to start the reading is I'm going to pull a card here to take a look at the energy that you're currently sitting with in your internal environment. I'll pull a card to take a look at what's going on in your external environment, and then we'll see what is the overarching theme or message behind you connecting with your external environment right now and the challenges that you're going through or being asked to go through by Spirit. All right, so let's see, what is Sagittarius sitting with? Okay, internal energy is Judgment. It's a big card, Sagittarius. I can see why you're kind of sitting in this kind of, I think, in-between place between fear and love. All right, let's see what you're dealing with in your external environment. What is Sagittarius dealing with in their external environment for the month of January? I hope you're all having a wonderful start to, that was quite a few cards. Unfortunately, I'm not going to take all of those, but this one seems to want to stand out. So I'm taking the Knight of Pentacles. I'm going to see if, since there was a lot of cards there, I'm going to see, okay, another one came out here. So we have the Knight of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles. Beautiful. And then actually we'll see what's on the bottom. Ace of Wands. Okay, Sagittarius, you are getting your fire back here. I think it was Libra that had the same thing in their reading. So if you have any Libra in your chart, you might want to take a look at theirs as well. Very similar message coming through. Okay, so right off the bat, Sagittarius, with Judgment in your internal energy, I'm getting the feeling here that you've heard the call, meaning the call to change. That when we hear the call of Judgment, it means that internally we have kind of woken up to something in our life, but specifically something internal to ourselves has changed, meaning this could be your perspective on something. This could be waking up one day and realizing you want to change political affiliations, or you no longer believe in God, or you can't stomach going one more day to the job you've been at for 25 years because now you want to suddenly do something else. That's what Judgment internally feels like. It feels like this call to just break away from something that you've always held true and fast to, something that you've identified yourself with. And there's this feeling coming through here that you guys are kind of wrestling with that a little bit. That can be jarring when I think about how I saw the color red, and that really aligns with your root chakra. And the root chakra is kind of our base energy. It is who we are. We do have the solar plexus as well, that's a different chakra that is a little higher up, and that's kind of our ego-based, kind of almost like where our real personal power lies. But the root chakra is kind of us at our base, like elemental self. That's also where fear can come in, because if we are not really confident in who we are and we don't have that chakra balanced, we're not grounded in understanding our strengths and weaknesses, fear can creep in because we don't quite know where we are. And when judgment calls and suddenly something within yourself, within your internal world is called into question, that can lead you to feeling unstable in that kind of core root version of yourself. And that can be scary. But the beautiful thing is that when we hear that call is coming directly from Spirit. It's coming from the divine, it's coming from God, however you choose to see what is beyond our experience. And it's meant to be to a certain extent. And in your external environment, we have the Knight of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles. So there's a lot of earth-based energy, a lot of the tangible going on here. So you're being asked to take what you're feeling internally, this change that's happening to a very integral part of yourself, and take it out into the world in a physical way, in a measured way. I love seeing the Knight of Pentacles here because the Knight of Pentacles is kind of in direct opposition to your card, which is the card of the Knight of Wands, which is interesting that you have a wand over here. So the Knight of Pentacles is a card that harnesses Virgo energy. It's slow, it's steady, it's exacting. It's knowing where to plant the seeds and have an eye for the crop that you want to grow. And I get this feeling that can be difficult for some of you out there, because the Sagittarian energy is one that wants to kind of go out and roam free and kind of do what feels good in the moment. That is the card of the Knight of Wands. And so kind of having to sit there and focus and look to the future and plan, not always in your wheelhouse, or not something that you want to do, let's put it that way. But the beautiful thing here is with coming up with the Six of Pentacles, there's this quality of balance coming through. The Six of Pentacles to me always represents the understanding that what you put in, you will always get back, even if in the moment it doesn't seem like that. There are times where you may feel like a whole year has gone by and all you did was give and give and give and got nothing in return. But then 2 years from that point, you'll have a whole year of abundance where things just kind of come out of left field and you can't believe, like, wait a second, I got a bonus and I got an inheritance and then somebody offered to help me move. And it's like one of those things where the universe is always balancing out. And we're at sometimes in a place to give and sometimes in a place to receive. So there's a quality of remembering that yes, there might have to be the slow and steady and kind of planning and plotting going on, but it will reap the rewards ultimately. And so that's what Spirit is asking you to be aware of right now. This is the challenge of you taking what you're feeling internally, this change in perspective, this change in belief, this change in some aspect that has been key to who you are, and take that out into the world in a slow and steady way to grow it, to basically get it to engage with your external environment. And this is all so that you can reignite that eternal flame, that spark, to kind of get back into your element, Sagittarius. I kind of feel for some of you that it's been a while since you've felt like that. It's been a while since you've felt kind of a zest for life, or that maybe you were even able to go out and kind of do what feels good and do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and kind of do what naturally you want to do. And in connecting this part of yourself that's changing with your external environment, it's going to reignite that spark. It's going to reignite not only that spark, but your specific spark. Not a spark in general, but a spark that is specific to you remembering your eternal flame, your soul, the wand that was given to you from Spirit, which is something I think at times we can become disengaged from. This is actually why I started what I do, because I went through a period for quite a few years where I was like that, where I did not have that spark. I did not remember that I was a unique individual being, and I just kind of went through the motions until I heard the call, until I literally could no longer turn my back away from engaging with life as my truest self, with the spark of who I was engaging in that process. And so I think, Sagittarius, this is kind of what I'm feeling for you. The month of January is about kind of coming back out, coming back to life, but coming back to life as this new version of yourself, which is very interesting. All right, so now I'm going to pull some cards here to see what are the challenge. Oh my gosh, Judgment. You guys are really feeling it, aren't you? So I'm going to pull some cards here to see what are the challenges you're facing kind of in between you hearing this call and actually stepping fearlessly into starting to engage this in your external environment, starting to plan with it, to understand that, yeah, life is going to change now that something has changed within you. But that change doesn't have to be earth-shattering, and meaning it doesn't have to completely tear apart your whole external environment. It can be something where it lends a beauty and a direction to your physical world. Okay, so far we have the Judgment. We have a Judgment card. We have Four of Swords, Princess of Cups, which is the Page of Cups in this deck. We have the Seven of Wands. And let's see what else we got here. You guys could be dealing with a Virgo. There's a lot of Virgo energy in this. And actually, you might even want to watch the Virgo reading. The Virgo reading got similar cards. Theirs was very much centered around the Seven of Wands. Okay, and the Six of Wands. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So we have Judgment, Four of Swords, Page of Cups, Seven of Wands, and Six of Wands. So this is what I'm seeing. The challenge for you guys is you've felt the call. There's a change within you. Again, whether this is a call to change professions, a call to change a perspective or a belief or a viewpoint, or a call to suddenly move to a different location. You name it. The call can come out of the blue, and it can be quite startling sometimes when we wake up one day and we realize we just aren't that person anymore. And you've been thinking about it. The Four of Swords is a card of reflection, a card of sitting there and kind of sorting out in your mind what is your story from the stories of others. And this can happen when we hear that call of judgment, because we may feel that call to do something new, but yet we hear people from our past who have told us that people who follow that call only have a negative response. Meaning this could look like all of a sudden you get the call to leave your 9-to-5. Let's say you're a doctor and you just don't want to be a doctor anymore and you want to go off and maybe you want to be a teacher. And you hear your mom telling you, oh my gosh, if you become a teacher, teachers make no money, you won't be able to support your family, be a doctor instead, it's so much more important. It's kind of like that. So there's this quality here of you sitting and thinking and trying to figure out, okay, what is actually my truth versus the truth of others that comes in and kind of is muddying the waters of this new call that I'm hearing that I need to rise up and kind of fulfill. With the Page of Cups coming in here, Page of Cups is about really starting to re-engage with your emotional center from the place of curiosity again, of what does make me feel full? What makes me feel that feeling of excitement again? Kind of getting into, the Page of Cups always seems to me like somebody wearing their heart on their sleeve, or somebody who's offering up their cup, but in a kind of innocent, almost naive way. the way that a child will run up to a stranger and be like, look what I just did. Isn't this cool? And the stranger's kind of like looking at the parents like, what? Oh yeah, this is cool, you know. But there's this feeling here of coming into that for you, Sagittarius, of really looking with curiosity at what does excite you in your emotional core. When you look at kind of what's in your cup, what is there? And what do you want? What are you excited to share with others? What part of this calling is kind of awakening you, re-engaging from a place of kind of emotional heart-centeredness? Because that's what's going to allow you to step into the Seven of Wands and the Six of Wands, which is beautiful. The Seven of Wands is a card of defending, defending where you want to take action, defending your inspiration, your passion, and realizing that you have your own personal wand. Everybody else has their wands as well, but you have yours, and it's your passion, your eternal flame, your soul that needs to be defended, because that's yours. That's who you are. That's what you're supposed to take out into the world and create magic with. And the Six of Wands is about being recognized for that. I think it's interesting that the progression here is kind of reversed. Normally we would have the Six of Wands to the Seven of Wands, but we have the Seven of Wands to the Six of Wands, which is, I think, a beautiful progression with this message, which is moving from this place of wanting to stand firm, but also I always see the sevens in the tarot as a moment for us to stop and reconnect with spirit, to reevaluate something, some aspect of our experience. And when you're looking at wands, that's reevaluating somewhere where you want to take action, reevaluating somewhere where you want to work with passion. And there is this coming through here of being able to kind of sit and think about this call, to sit with spirit, to understand a little bit better, okay, is it worth it for me to actually try to fight for taking this out and doing something with this to make the change that I want to make? And at the end, we have Six of Wands, which is receiving recognition for that. Now, that can actually be a challenge for some people, because when you think about it, maybe you don't want it to be public knowledge or known that you really want to do tarot instead of be a doctor. Or you don't want it to be known to family and friends and the people that you no longer believe in the religion you followed for years, or you don't see politically the way that you did before. And so there's this quality here of kind of getting past that, almost, of understanding that the call is specifically yours, analyzing what is your truth from others, stepping into this place of re-evaluating kind of what makes you feel emotionally excited about life and that you want to share with others, because that's what's going to give you the strength to be able to understand what Spirit's trying to get you to, where they're trying to get you to take action. Where are you meant to start moving and making those changes and having to defend those choices and those decisions that you now want to make, and where you want to be known. And I know it might be scary that other people are going to see you for the changes you're going to be making, but if you can get past that and understand that Six of Wands is a card of not only recognition for a job well done, but it is celebrating the actions that you've taken and being honored for that. So, beautiful message coming through here. It's very clear. It's very, very clear, but very, very necessary for you to clarify and admit to yourself that you've heard this call, that something needs to change, and to be confident in going out there and expressing it. But doing so in a way, the one thing I'm not seeing come through here is there's no Knight of Swords, which if I would see the Knight of Swords, that would be kind of like going out there in a brash way and telling everybody like, this is my truth and things have changed and I'm going to kind of like run in, say it, verbal vomit, and then run away. And instead it's the total opposite here. There's a beautiful energy of coming to this internal place of confidence of, no, this is really where I want to take action. And I'm going to do so in a way that is steady and true because I believe in what this how it can impact my physical experience, my abundance in the external world. And that's a beautiful realization. And that's really where I feel you kind of moving from the red, fear-based kind of root chakra disruption into the beautiful pink energy of love, of, no, I love myself. And I wouldn't be hearing this call if it wasn't part of me to go out and utilize this and connect this with my external environment. And that is going to be that moment of inspiration, that divine reconnection with who you are at a very, I'd say, soul level. Beautiful, beautiful reading, Sagittarius, is coming through here. Okay, so now I'm going to finish the reading by pulling a card for the 3 concepts of curiosity, courage, and contemplation. So we're going to engage the Triad of Engagement, which is a tool that I use to help take what is a very general message and ground it into an individualized message by giving you things to basically practice throughout the month that will help you stay aware to and open to messages from Spirit, but also kind of messages pertaining to this specific theme. All right, so I'm going to pull an energy oracle card here for the principle of curiosity, and we're going to build a question around the message or energies of the card. And this is going to be something for you to ask yourself throughout the month of January. And in asking this, Spirit is basically meant for Spirit to come in and help bring awareness and answering it for you to some aspect of your life you normally would not have been aware of. So this is where we need to kind of stay open and optimistic and almost childlike in what do I not see that Spirit wants me to see. We have Angel of Strength and All Tied Up. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So Angel of Strength, number 50, breaking down to the 5, and All Tied Up, number 23, breaking down to a 5. Very interesting. So the number 5 in numerology is a number of change. Now it can be a number of chaos, or it can be a number of breaking down and reorganizing. When you think of the number 5 itself as a 5, it looks one way and it looks the other. So it looks both back and forward. It's a very interesting number in numerology. I actually have a lot of 5s in my personal numerology chart, and I love the energy of the 5. But other people can find it a little, I think, unsettling, just because it is a number that does represent change. When you think about it, the number 5 in a 10 number cycle is right smack in the middle. So it's that kind of crux point of like, okay, I've come this far, but I still have equal amount of time to go. And I think that's kind of a message that's coming through here with you. But with the Angel of Strength and All Tied Up, I get this feeling that there's a quality here of you feeling, and I tie it directly to this kind of fear of being seen for what you actually want to do now, or the change that you want to make, that you're feeling restricted. And Spirit's coming in to say, you have to be strong. Yes, I wouldn't have given you this call otherwise if I didn't think that it wasn't meant for you. And I think with the number 5 coming through, and the number of change, and the number of, okay, it's time to change things up. And change can be scary. But where I'd ask myself this question is, where do you feel the most restricted? And where do you feel like you're hearing this change? Where do you feel like if I tried to move forward in bringing this internal change into my external environment, where do I feel the most held back? And where do I not feel strong enough to face that challenge? And that's going to be the key insight as to where Spirit is asking you to focus, because that's where Spirit's going to help you break those, I mean, you could look at it here, break those branches or roots that are kind of wrapping you up, but basically breaking the chains of where you feel that you can't follow this, because ultimately Spirit wants you to follow the call. So Spirit or God or the universe is going to step in and help you break the chains, that if you're strong enough and with faith, willing to continue to move forward with a clear vision, these obstacles will disappear, but you have to understand where they are first. You have to recognize where the obstacles are to ask for help in breaking them. All right, Sagittarius. Now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to pull a Power of Surrender card here for the concept of courage. And courage is where we get the chance to really take a look at where we are not utilizing courage enough to make the tough, small decisions in our day-to-day environment. So this card is meant to keep this in mind each time you want to take action and maybe are too afraid, or you hesitate, or you want to take the easy way instead of the hard way. You want to hit snooze instead of wake up 30 minutes early to sneak in that workout, or you want to eat that second cookie when you told yourself you're only going to have one. That having the courage to make the slightly tougher decision in the moment, that's how we step into our highest power and our highest potential. So this month, to keep in mind, surrender to receiving support and love. Allow the love and support of others in rather than trying to handle everything yourself. This can take the pressure off and simultaneously nurture you. Beautiful. So this is really something to keep in mind as you're finding the courage to face some tough obstacles and actually wanting to defend the new action or the change you want to have take place. To remember that remember that others are around you who love you, and that they ultimately will support this new version of yourself. And you don't have to do everything yourself. Meaning, if there is change that needs to be made, have the courage to have that tough conversation with a significant other or a family member or a boss and have that conversation and be ready to be supported. Be ready to, if you say, I need help in doing this, that others are there to help you. I love this card. I feel like this card's come out so many times this month. I feel like this is the biggest theme for the whole month of January, is remembering that we are surrounded by the energy of love in the people and the connections that we have, and that we don't have to do it all alone. I know it may seem hard to think about, like when you feel this call or this change, that it can be very disruptive. And in thinking about the change that's to come, it can be almost like, oh, I can't even go down that road. There's just so much. But it's about keeping in mind that there are others around you. Even if you feel there are not, there are others around you who are ready to step in and help bring about this change. All right, and now we're going to pull a final card here for the concept of contemplation. And this is for you, this is kind of like the overarching theme for the whole month for you, where you're going to take a look at, as you're sitting, if you do have a meditative practice, or let's just say at the end of the day, you're kind of just contemplating over what happened in the day. Keep the energy and the message of this card in mind, because this is really what Spirit's asking you to hold up the entire month of January to. Meaning, when you take action, you have the courage to take action, there's going to be consequences that happen. And contemplation helps us become aware of the consequences of our actions and how to take personal responsibility for what's happening in our lives. And that can look like contemplating on, okay, if this is what I'm meant to be kind of working towards or keeping in mind, am I actually doing that through the actions I'm taking? So let's say, in a very watered down small sense, let's just say the whole month of January is going to be where you want to focus on eating better because it's January and you want the fresh new year to give you that kind of oomph to get yourself maybe just back into health awareness. But you eat those 2 cookies after dinner one night, and then the next night, instead of going home and cooking the meal that you purposely prepped for, you stop by McDonald's on the way home and you pick up something that ultimately doesn't make you feel good after you eat it. And then the next day you get talked into going out for a bunch of drinks with friends. And then, and so it's all these little things that end up adding up to where at the end of the month, when you reflect and contemplate on, okay, so how did my goal was to stay health focused. But when you think back to all the things that happened, you're going to realize that the consequences of the actions and the decisions you made were not health focused and didn't help you achieve that overarching theme or goal. And that's how we can, if we build in contemplation time into our day every day, it allows us to engage more authentically and more from a place of empowerment with our external environment, because we can sit there and say, I made a couple mistakes today. Tomorrow, I'm going to change those because I saw that I didn't get the reaction or I didn't get the consequence that I wanted. And so that's the beauty of contemplation, why it's an important part of the Triad of Engagement. So we have the crumbling. It says, what are you clinging to? I think this is a beautiful card to wrap up this reading. When we hear that call, when we know there are changes that have to be made, we will often cling to what is just to try to avoid the change. And the unfortunate thing is when we cling to what we feel is stable or secure or just what is known. If we cling too long, the change will happen on its own and without our involvement. And that's what the Tower card is in the tarot. And the crumbling card basically is the tarot card represented here. So there's this quality of, are you going to step up and have the opportunity to move forward in a measured, thoughtful way with this new kind of start? Or are you going to be afraid and hold back and try to hide this part of yourself until finally something external to you comes in and makes that change come through anyways? And that can look like you hear the call to change your career path, but yet you don't want to because it's scary. So you stay at a job, and you keep telling yourself, well, I might not ever make this kind of money, or I'm good at this kind of work. It's easy for me. And you just kind of keep staying and staying and staying. Well, that's when all of a sudden, out of the blue, you get laid off. And this isn't to scare everybody. This isn't to scare you to say if you don't change your career path, you're going to get laid off. I'm just saying that often, instead of you taking the time to brush up on your resume and apply to places that might interest you and preparing yourself for the change into something new, meaning maybe you start put a little bit more money aside in case maybe the job that you have in this new industry does pay less. Or you start to rearrange your schedule a little bit to make room for what you know is going to be a schedule change if you have to move into this new field. That instead, if you don't start to plan and plot and make room for this change to come in, it will come in a very sloppy kind of, well, here you go, because Spirit still wants you to fulfill this. And it can be even more jarring because then you haven't prepared, then you haven't been able to basically put the energy in to be able to get back what the universe wants to give you, and being bold and fearless and moving towards this new. So this is a great point of contemplation as you're moving through the month and you're wondering, should I do it or should I not? Is, what are you really clinging to? Are you clinging to the idea of stability? Are you clinging to the idea of security in a relationship that has long since fulfilled its partnership, its path with you? Are you clinging to an old mindset? It's going to even be clinging to a mindset of like a poverty mindset, or I can't be a manager, that's just too hard for me. And then one day you wake up and you think, gosh, I really love to manage my team. If I was a manager, I would be doing things differently. And that's when you realize, well, shoot, I kind of want to be promoted, but I've always told everybody I don't. But if you cling to that feeling of, well, I don't know, managing is scary. What if people don't like me? What if what if people ask why I want to do it all of a sudden? If you don't, You're going to get pushed into something, again, maybe managing a project you weren't prepared for. Or, it's very interesting how the universe works in that way. So I get this feeling of the message coming through is you are supported. This change is for a reason. Have the strength to work with spirit to see where you can start to break down areas where you feel a little trapped, and everything's going to open up for you. But it has to be done kind of in a slow and steady way. This isn't about just like coming in and breaking things down. The universe doesn't want that for you. The universe wants you to kind of build anew with an eye to the future. Because with this spark reigniting your kind of core soul, this is something you're going to work with for quite some time, because this is working with your authenticity, with your singular self. And the universe wants you to connect it out here. All right, Sagittarius, what a wonderful reading. The month of January, I know it's going to be a really kind of soul-searching month, but again, if you can kind of just sit with spirit and gather the courage to move forward with this new whatever it is, you're going to reap the benefits in your external environment. All right, Sagittarius, if you would like to have a personal reading where we take a look at a challenge you are currently facing on an individual level and what spirit would like you to realize and learn from that, you can click on the link in the description box below to book a private reading or a personal one-on-one coaching session. And I look forward to reading for you again in February. Bye, Sagittarius.